Good evening, everybody. The time is 7:03. A little bit of a late start just for some technical stuff. With that, though, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Deb, would you kindly do roll?
Counselor Williams?
Yes, ma'am.
Counselor Hansi?
Here.
Counselor Purser?
Here.
Counselor Parrish is excused absent. Counselor Quigley? Counselor Miller?
Present.
Thank you very much. With that, I'm going to invite everybody to stand for a moment of silence to collect your thoughts, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an agenda before us. Any changes or amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for the record, we had 3 boards and commissions appointments and reappointments that we added to the consent agenda just today. And then we need to add a section for acknowledging those immediately following the consent agenda.
So I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
The acknowledgements
Oh, yes,
of the appointments.
of course. All right. Thank you very much. With that, we have an agenda. Any questions or a motion?
I move to approve the agenda as before us. Second.
First is second. Any other discussion?
Beth.
As amended, sorry.
Counselor Williams?
Yep.
Counselor Hansi?
Yes.
Counselor Purser?
Yes.
Counselor Quigley? Counselor Miller?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you very much. We have one presentation night from, it's an update from Ute Water, which we're excited about. And I think to kick us off is the General Manager, Greg Williams. You're up first. If you want to introduce the team as well, would be great.
Okay, thank you. I just want to begin by saying thank you to council members and Manager Boston for the invite and the opportunity. We really appreciate the relationship we have with Fruita and their staff, which I'll touch on more here in a moment. Also, a quick recognition, I didn't see her on, but Fruita's counsel, Attorney Geiger, who I have yet to meet, but have the pleasure of working closely with the other Geiger, her husband, is our representative for Ute Water. So Council Member Williams, I don't know if you remember me, you were my neighbor for a short time before moving to Fruita. Obviously a great guy with the last name Williams, but he helped me move a fridge, but no, we're not related. So
Yeah, wait, I remember that.
you remember that now? Okay, yeah. I heard you say you weren't handy before the meetings. He was handy that day. Couple of fun facts about me. I lived for 3 months in the little 2-bedroom house across the street when I first moved here in 97. And former counselor Ken Cry, don't hold this against me. He is my brother-in-law. So those of you that know Ken Cry. So hopefully the updates we bring you tonight are beneficial to you, and apologies if your staff have already provided any of them previously. But a little bit about Ute Water. We were established in 1956 and maintain and operate approximately 950 miles of water line in a 240 square mile service area. We serve about 92,000 people through 36,800 taps or water connections. Our annual demand or consumption is approximately 10,000 acre feet, which also equates to about 3 billion gallons per year. Our residential per capita usage, or gallons per person per day, is approximately 65 gallons, which has remained steady for the last 10 years. Our primary water source originates as snowmelt on the Grand Mesa, which most of you may know, which we then store in our terminal Jerry Creek reservoirs. The district has continued to develop a water rights portfolio designed to provide redundancy for events such as drought and wildfire, and will continue to do so. The Jerry Creek reservoirs serve as the backbone for our district and our supplies, but in dry years, Colorado River supplies, including 12,000 acre feet of Fruita Reservoir up near Aspen, allow us to protect critical storage while we meet demands. With recent hydrology and drought, the district has recently relied on these secondary source waters to meet demands and protect storage levels, specifically in 2021 and last year in 2025. Considering the current snowpack, which Andrea will touch on here in a moment, I'll introduce her in a moment, the district is in the planning stages for how we're going to utilize our portfolio in 2026. Unlike most conservancy districts, which that's what Ute Water is a conservancy district, we get confused with conservation districts quite often, but conservancy district, we handle the entire snow to tap process. We collect, we store, we treat, and we deliver. We do all these functions with 72 employees. I will note that we have a few vacant positions and are in the process of filling those roles. So a quick plug, check our website. We've got a couple positions on there currently that may interest your friends or family. 99% of our district system is gravity fed, with the exception for the Horse Mountain area just south of Palisade and Redlands Mesa. Those areas are supplemented by pumping due to the elevation. You do not pay that cost. Those costs are borne by the customers that are benefit from that pump. So Ute Water actually serves about 2/3 of the city of Grand Junction proper due to how the boundaries were established in 1956 and how they've shaken out since our inception. We do maintain interconnects with our municipal partners, those partners being Town of Palisade, Clifton Water, and the City of Grand Junction's municipal service. Sorry, excuse me, brain fog here. That wind kept me up. I don't know if it kept any of you up, but I've been up since about 2 o'clock. So with those interconnects, it's generally impossible for them to back us up. We can fully back up those service areas, but they can't back us up because of our size. For example, Clifton Water is about 1/3 of our size. So I mentioned we have about 92,000 customers. They're closer to 35,000 customers. Most people in the Grand Valley know that the valley uniquely operates and is served by what we call a dual system, in which the municipal or domestic water providers are separate from the irrigation providers. So think Grand Valley Water Users, GVIC, those are some of the more common ones in this area, which we really appreciate. And use of treated water will continue to be a focal point for us, as we don't like to see the costlier treated water thrown on landscaping and lawns, especially when those irrigation providers provide a resource for that. They cover approximately 90 to 95% of the valley. So we encourage the use of their water for outdoor uses for sure. Coming back to our partnership with Fruita, if you guys are unaware, in the 1970s, Fruita began investigating and researching feasible solutions to address their infrastructure. Part of this was due to the Colorado National Monument being established after Fruita's water infrastructure had been installed. One version of the story that we've heard, it was that due to the national monument status, Fruita was told they'd have to repair and replace water lines in the same manner that their water infrastructure was installed, which involved horse and wagon. So ultimately, Fruita and Ute Water entered a merger agreement in 1983, at which time Ute Water began providing water service to Fruita. Most recently, Fruita and Ute Water amended this agreement to remove some obsolete provisions, but we maintain provisions such as allowing the disconnection of water service for delinquent Fruita sewer accounts, which are performed by Ute Water. Up until 1983, Ute Water was governed by 13 district court-appointed directors. With the addition of Fruita, a 14th director seat was added to Ute Water's board. Also remaining as part of the 1983 agreement, Fruita specifically, you as the city council may nominate an individual to the appropriate district judge for this seat. This seat has been filled by former city councilor and mayor Ken Henry since May of 2009. His current term expires in May of 27. Like Ute Water, Fruita has obviously seen some changes and new faces recently. I would tell you that Fruita staff has been a pleasure to work with in recent years. Your planning, engineering, administrative staff, I specifically want to call out Jude. We work with her quite often in our front office. So been great collaborators on everything from ADUs to the Fruita Muse project. Really appreciate Fruita's willingness and to meet and work through all the stuff that we as local governments are faced with every day. So enough about that. I want to change gears to maybe some potential subjects you weren't interested in hearing about. So a couple of updates on some big river issues in regards to the acquisition of the Shoshone water rights by the River District. Following approval by the Colorado Water Conservation Board to operate the Shoshone water right as an in-stream flow in November of last year, the River District and CWCB and Public Service Company, or Excel, filed an application to change that Shoshone water right to add an in-stream flow use. I don't want to get involved too deep in the weeds on water rights, but if you have questions, I'll do my best to answer, but you need to talk to Ms. Geiger. In-stream flow use would, adding that to the water right decree, as it's only currently allowed to be used for power production would allow for the in-stream flow use. And so in order to remain engaged, and believe me, it sounds counterintuitive when I say this, Ute Water filed statements of opposition in support of the requested change of the Shoshone water rights for a couple reasons, but primarily because of what Shoshone means to the western slope and maintaining the westward flows of the Colorado River, and also to ensure that Ute Water's interests are protected through any settlement discussions and trial proceedings in water court. Surprisingly, there were 63 entities that are going to be involved in that water court case. The River District continues their fundraising efforts. Some of you may have heard that the 40 million that was pledged from the I think it was IRA funds was pulled back. So it remains to be seen if that 40 million of federal funds will be released. I know conversations continue with Congressman Hurd in his office, but the reality is those funds appear to be intertwined in politics at this point. We do understand the River District is discussing alternatives. Currently, they have commitments of about 57 million towards the 99.5 million purchase price. Kind of touched on a few of the milestones that took place so far on the preservation of the water rights. First, there was a purchase and sale agreement that was negotiated between the River District and Public Service Company back in December of 23. Next was that in-stream flow agreement with CWCB, which again was approved in November. Currently, we're headed towards water court to have that water right changed. And then the last major step, aside from collecting the remaining funds, is approval of Excel's sale of those water rights by the Public Utilities Commission. Last item I wanted to touch on with you was regarding the Colorado River Operating Guidelines negotiations. Many of you have read in the news and may even know more than me. The states have now missed two major deadlines, most recently last Friday, February 14th, to come to an agreement on how the river and operations at Powell and Meade should occur. If no agreement is reached, it's likely, in our opinion, the courts could end up guiding river operation and management for years, in which itself brings a lot of uncertainty. A primary point of contention in the negotiations has been that the lower basin feels that the upper basin states should be subject to mandatory water cuts rather than voluntary cuts that Colorado has offered. The upper basin states continue to argue that we naturally take cuts or less water based on what nature provides. We also argue that, the upper basin also argue that they use less water than the lower basin states. We don't have the huge reservoirs like Powell and Meade for storage in dry years. And currently we lack the authority to place restrictions on water users to a degree. Somewhat related to that concept is a conversation that's going to start happening at the state engineers level on what does curtailment look like, whether it's a compact call or something with these river negotiations. And so they're continuing to plan on evaluating what that would look like. They've got a step first where they're going through each water division and setting up measurement rules, make sure everybody has accurate measuring devices for every water right, and then they'll start to begin those conversations on the potential curtailment rules. So Ute Water will be heavily involved in that process and how that determines what curtailment would look like for Colorado and its water right owners. Don't need to stick around. I can answer questions now, or we can bring Andrea up. She was going to kind of touch on snowpack and drought if you guys want to hear from that. So Andrea is Ute Water's External Affairs Manager, and sitting next to her is her assistant, Natalie Hall.
Thank you.
I wish we were bringing you a little bit better news tonight, but thank you, Council, for having us back again this year. Ute Water primarily relies on the snowpack up on the Grand Mesa. That snowmelt then turns into runoff, which fills our major reservoirs, and then it's piped down to our treatment plant in which it's treated and then sent out to our customers. So we truly are the snow to tap process that is actually very unique for water providers here, even in Colorado. So as you can see on the screen, we have a SNOTEL map, and we primarily at Ute Water pay attention to two sites up on the Grand Mesa that are designated as SNOTEL sites, Park Reservoir and Mesa Lakes. These are not reservoirs or properties owned by Ute Water, but they are near some of our reservoirs up there. So it's just a good indicator of where we're at. So as you can see, Mesa Lakes is currently 47% normal of a 30-year average. It has 21 inches of snow, but year to date, it does have 86% of normal precipitation levels. And when we're seeing those really higher precipitation levels, we contribute that to that really big storm that we had in October. So the fall storms that we have and the spring storms that we have are just as important to help us ensure that the ground doesn't soak up all the runoff when it's time to run off. Park Reservoir has 34 inches of snow. Snowpack is currently at 51% of normal of a 30-year average. And year to date, Park Reservoir is 84% of normal in terms of precipitation levels. And looking at the map, you can obviously tell we'd like to be more of a blue shade, but most of the state of Colorado, unfortunately, is showing up as that red or even orange, which is below average. For sure, significantly below average. Pulling up another map, we have our drought monitor. This was pulled a couple days ago. They update it every so often. But as you can see from the current drought monitor, parts of Mesa County, depending on where we're at, spans anywhere from D0, which is abnormally dry, all the way up to D2, which is already a severe drought. So this is how we're moving into the tail end of our snowpack and runoff season. And it's evident that drought is already here. And I think that our community knows that for sure. So to kind of end the presentation, we're often asked, well, what can people do to help mitigate drought or help conserve water? And to be honest, that's a difficult ask for an entity like Ute Water. As Greg mentioned earlier, over 90% of our customers have access to irrigation water, which is from a separate provider through a separate system. And so it's difficult for us to tell them how to use water that's not even provided from the district. However, my department loves that they come to us because that means we're doing our job well, they're using us as a resource, and that they're familiar with who Ute Water is. So a few years ago, we actually surveyed our customers and asked them, how are we doing? How are we communicating? How are you hearing about us? And as a result of that survey, we actually found that our customers found that we didn't talk about water conservation enough as Ute Water. But our conservation voice comes from the DRIP committee, which you've likely heard of, the Drought Response Information Project Committee. And it's a cooperative between the City of Grand Junction, Clifton Water, Ute Water, several irrigation providers, now the Town of Palisade, the National Weather Service, and CSU Extension. And it was a result of the 2002-2003 drought to develop a committee that has cohesive and consistent messaging with one another about local drought conditions and how people can conserve water regardless of who their domestic water provider or irrigation provider is. So this is really where our conservation voice comes from. We are just starting to sunset our Gnome More, Waste Less campaign, which you'll see on the screen. But this collaborative messaging helps us make sure that each of our water providers are having the same message and hopefully not confusing our customers even more and getting to more effective water conservation. So what we're asking for in terms of community help and how they can conserve water, as we start to enter the spring season and irrigation water becomes available, we do ask customers to follow the suggested outdoor watering schedule. This schedule was actually drafted by a local CSU Extension horticulture agent for our area. She looked at the landscape, the precipitation averages, and this schedule actually helps our lawns and landscapes acclimate and survive in drought conditions, but also acclimate and come back to life through all the different fluctuations of temperatures that we see at different parts of the season. We've also partnered with Resource Central. Last year was our first year. We did Garden in a Box, where we offer curated boxes that are drought tolerant and native plants. And The sale begins on March 11th, so a little teaser, mark your calendar. But we have limited discounts for City of Grand Junction, Clifton Water District, and Ute Water District customers. So all of these boxes were designed for our area, our low water use, and they say like a plant by numbers. So they tell you how to maintain it, how to plant it, how much water it needs. So we had a lot of fun with that last year, and it was really successful, and it was really great to see our community's response to that. Lastly, I just want to briefly go over what our action plan is moving into the water year as we can have, as we've seen tonight. We maintain multiple water sources in our watershed portfolio. And so we're able, because of our diversity in it, to kind of mix and match and pull the water from different sources to be able to meet our customers' demands. We are also currently revising the drought response plan, which is a plan between the City of Grand Junction, Clifton Water District, and potentially the town of Palisade. And this plan really provides us clarity and jurisdiction in response to drought conditions on what is not only expected of the DRIP committee, but depending on the severity of the drought conditions this summer, the efforts that each individual water provider will ask of their customers. So at some point, we might have to deviate a little bit from DRIP and really focus on what are our own entities doing, depending on the severity of the drought. I will end with that because I know we're short on time, but if you have any questions for Greg or myself, we'd be happy to answer them.
Great, thank you. With that, I'd like to bring it back to council for any questions. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I wanted to ask you, you said that we have 21 inches at the one reservoir and 34 at the other.
Correct.
What do we typically have? What's the average that we're?
Yeah, so if you recall, it was about 47% or 51%, so basically double those numbers.
Oh, okay. So that was what the 47 and 51 was. So we're basically half.
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, okay.
We are just above, as of this recent storm, above 2018 levels, which if you recall, I think that's all.
Yeah, and that would be my next question is we had the other drought times up there. How does this compare to those?
Yeah, so for those two sites, because every Snowtel site's got a different bad year.
Sure.
For those two sites, 2018 was kind of the low for them, and we're just above them.
Okay.
And did you have a question?
Yeah. So are you anticipating just education and have per se voluntary efforts to conserve? Is that the approach that you're thinking we're going to have this summer, or is it have any restrictions?
I'll always vouch for education because that's what our department does. I do think it's important to note that water conservation is a behavioral change. And so it does take a lot of time and consistent effort in messaging, as well as consistency in the messaging. In terms of, mandatory versus voluntary water restrictions, Greg can correct me if I'm wrong, but the City of Grand Junction, because of the way that our districts are set up in terms of irrigation water and domestic water, the City of Grand Junction really is the only one who has the jurisdiction to mandate use on using domestic water because their customers do use treated water to water outdoors. We see fairly low water consumption for our customers per capita. So we're looking at about 60 gallons of water per day per customer, 64, compared to like the Denver area where it's like 120 some gallons of water per day. But they also don't have access to that dual water system. So that drought response plan update really helps flush out the expectations from one another as water providers of DRIP is really great and it's that education and campaign, but when we really need an ask to make, where are we all kind of falling into in terms of communicating with our individual customers?
And what Andrea said is absolutely correct. I would just add Ute Water system and how we've built our water portfolio and the redundancies into that portfolio it's really the back-to-back year droughts that get us. 2025 wasn't a great year, but it wasn't a bad year. If this continues into 27, yeah, you're definitely going to potentially look at those. Now, I won't say you won't see them this year, but it's definitely likely if we have another back-to-back drought. I will say in December, I believe it was of this year, we did actually adopt drought rates. We haven't implemented those, but adopted drought rates in preparation. We don't know. We've had years where we've had a miracle May and it saved us. So we get that question all the time. What are we looking at this year? And I don't know. We'll see what May brings. When that runoff starts in April, May, we have a lot better idea of what's going to happen.
So as the snowpack melts and everything, does the system just lose water into the ecosystem if we don't use what's flowing, or can you per se cut off the reservoirs to not drain as fast? How does that work? Like,
It's going to depend on demand, obviously, what kind of demands are drawn from the system, drawing down our reservoirs. But during runoff, no, we're going to try to capture as much as we can. There's two little, you look at Aspen up there, and I'm trying to see here. Little red dots just kind of up and right of Aspen there. The yellow-orange spot right inside those two red ones is the Ivanhoe Snowtail. It's the one that we use to kind of monitor the Rudai Reservoir. And again, this is where the back-to-back drought is where we're more concerned, because if we need to, we have 12,000 acre feet in Rudai that we can release down the Colorado River and pump from the Colorado River, which we did in 21 and 25.
last question. Do we see any hostility from other people, like on the Front Range, wanting to take our resources? Are we safe with what we own and with our property right, or our water rights that we have?
I think that's going to come to play in these curtailment rules if the state engineer moves forward and how that process shakes out, and whatever kind of rules that they create. One very important thing that we're supportive of is the prior appropriation system in Colorado. First in time, first in right. That's built into the Constitution of Colorado. And so we want to maintain that. Public trust doctrine is something we're not a fan of. And that's, the population chooses where the water goes. That's also contrary to our Constitution. So hopefully not a threat. Eventually, we'll begin to have those conversations, and like with these river negotiations downstream, it's already finger pointing there. Well, we're going to have finger pointing in the state when some of those things called down as well.
I say keep up the good work. I think we're pretty spoiled to have such an amazing water provider. I know we're spoiled to have such an amazing water provider. My brother-in-law is your president of your board, so I hear a lot about what's going on with you guys, and yeah, he talks highly of all of you. So good job.
I've got a lot of questions, maybe not that is appropriate so much. I was looking over the EIS and the different options, and I don't want to go into that so much, but what do you glean from some of the different proposals that they have in that? Like, is there anything that Ute Water can specifically use to kind of make your system a little bit more robust, or?
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't been through really any of those EISs. I'm waiting until they have a final one, so I don't have to go through 6 of them. But, I will say the Shoshone is a great example. If we can keep this water flowing westward, we're in a unique position, especially as a domestic potable water provider, where 80 to 85% of the water that our customers use is returned, whether it's through wastewater or return flows to the river from a septic system, whatever it is. So if we're returning 80%, what is the impact that the state's going to come after us for? We don't know the answer. It's going to be part of that conversation. But that's where I see a bright light for us, potentially. Now, it's not the same story for the irrigators, and we're very supportive of our irrigators. And one of the biggest reasons is when they don't have water, who do they turn to? They turn to our water, and then we don't have the storage in Dairy Creeks, those kind of things. So I want to support them in maintaining status quo as much as we can as well.
Sounds like you guys have a plan though.
Just a quick follow-up on that note. You're saying of water that's not utilized or waste from our homes or whatnot, you say 80% of that goes back into the ecosystem?
That's our estimate. We've never,
Reclamation or through just, if you leave a hose on, it just goes down to the water table and goes back out, or is that what you're?
more so the indoor uses, they're returning via the wastewater systems into the Colorado River, which stave off some call downstream, as long as we're returning that water, whereas, the Front Range, that's 100% consumptive. It's gone when
12
take it to Trans Mountain diversions.
Cool.
Question, we've spent a lot of time tonight talking about where we're at today. And you mentioned you're continually working on getting more water rights. But as we continue to grow, we have a bad year this year, we're in good shape, but how do we look if, 30 years from now, when let's say Fruita, I hate to throw out this number, but is it like 22 or 23,000 or wherever we might be?
Sorry.
Feeling all right there?
Sorry.
Okay, at our 1 3/4 average percent growth. My question is, as we continue to grow, and then you have those relationships with Grand Junction, Palisade, and Clifton, they're growing from a long-term point of view. Because one of the things when people are developing and part of the pushback we hear about is water and availability of water. How does that calculate out for us?
So currently the district's firm yield is about firm yield being what's there in a 1977 drought year, which was one of those drought years. That's what was available in the system based off modeling. We're almost 3 times what our current demands are. So we can serve that growth. A couple of projects that I threw them on a 4th page just in case this question comes up. So I'm going to go from memory. We are still evaluating Monument Reservoir, which is about 12 miles south of Vega. It's a small reservoir right now, but we were looking to enlarge it to about 5,300 acre feet. Still working through the financial feasibility of that. We've begun some design, and so we're evaluating that. Concurrently, we just did an RFP for a feasibility on membrane treatment for our Colorado River sources, a little bit different water quality there. So want to make sure we're able to adequately treat that. So can we do both at the same time? No, but we may be stacking up our priorities for the next project to address that 30-year timeframe. We're dealing with a finite resource. They're not making more. We're stuck with whatever nature provides. So there is a importance for storage, but we want to make sure we're also being financially savvy with our customers' money. So
That we greatly appreciate as well. So you also have relationships with Palisade, Grand Junction, Clifton. If there's a shortage, where does Fruita stack on that list? Because you are not an adjunct, but almost like an emergency case for Clifton and and Grand Junction. Does that mean Fruita will retain first right? I'm trying to understand the relationship you have with the other districts in terms of who has right to water in case things go not well.
Interconnects are primarily for emergency purposes. If we're looking at long-term service, we've got a whole nother issue that we've got to address. For those that don't know, City of Grand Junction, they get their water primarily from the Canna Creek, the south side of the Grand Mesa. Clifton pulls directly from the river, Palisade from Cabin Reservoir, kind of on this west side of the Grand Mesa. But so for a long-term situation, we're going to be having those conversations because we can't continually serve. We can do it on emergency or short-term basis.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we're not going to be picking and choosing parts of our service as far as who gets water and so forth. You're potentially also looking at a health and human safety argument that allows you for those purposes to continue diversion. But again, what that does is leave the irrigators out, which again, we don't want to do that.
It creates a whole lot of other issues. Yep. And then I'm still trying to get over between 60 and 65 gallons per water per day per person and 120 in Denver. Like I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around that. But if you said we've been about 65 gallons on average for at least a decade, if I remember correctly. Are there opportunities to help lower that moving forward? You know, because like you said, we've been flat. Is there opportunities to get that to creep down a little bit to help?
Going back to the Denver example, so they are using some of that water outdoors more so than we are.
Mhm.
It's one water source for irrigation and potable. So that's why their number's a little bit higher than ours. We're this.
That's not a little higher.
Yeah,
That's a lot higher.
Well, when you consider outdoor uses, 120 is not bad. I mean, there's some that are probably in the 200 range. And sorry, you're gonna have to come back.
But in
as
terms
far
of
as the 10 years.
opportunities to, you
Yeah.
know, maybe get it to edge downwards a little bit
So
on the residential.
prior to the last 10 years, that number was actually higher. So it was in the 70, 75 range, and we've continued to see it drop. How much can you squeeze from that turnip? How many showers do you want to take? Or, you know, I mean, that's what it becomes, especially
Mhm.
when you look at our system being that dual system where we don't have a lot of the outdoor irrigation use. It's what's being.
So it's more of
Outdoors.
like the continuation of the low flow shower heads and those kind of conservation.
Which new development is putting in, you know,
Mm.
and we think we're starting to get to that point where we're not going to see a lot more savings because it's required of new
Not worth
development. It's
it.
in codes, it's in whatever. It's what you can go buy from Lowe's if you're replacing your toilet or whatever. So
Okay.
Do you attribute the decrease of 10 gallons per user due to construction, or is it just because that's per user, so it's per home, per tap, right? So is it just because we have smaller families now than we did 10 years ago, or whatever the duration was from the 75 to the 65, or what do you attribute to that 10 gallon per tap decrease?
I would say it's those low flow appliances, the water smart appliances. I think that's a big part of it that we've seen since mid 2000s. That 3 billion gallons a year, that's actually about what we were using in the mid 2000s. So we have not seen an increase in use from even with all the
Even with
growth
growth.
that we've had.
It's encouraging.
It's interesting.
It is encouraging.
Now we're starting to see a little bit of indicators that it is starting to creep up. So we can see the growth is starting to hit demand a little bit.
I just wanted to piggyback off of your very last question, just on the educational piece and in the personal use part, because I hear like the products that we're putting into our homes are helping, but to an individual, what is the top one or two habits? Because you talked about like this is a habit kind of issue. What are the top one or two habits that a person could work on?
Our habits are going to differ.
I-
I would say for our specific area, it's definitely the suggested outdoor watering schedule. Regardless of if it's irrigation water or domestic water, we need to be cognizant. Most people will they move here and they have access to irrigation water. They don't have a lot of guidance or education. And they think the more they water, the more it'll be green and beautiful, right? But really, that suggested outdoor watering schedule was created to help our landscapes locally thrive, which I think is such a powerful tool. It's not trying to fit somebody else's solution into our community. It was created for our community. In terms of indoor use, I would look at any sort of leaks. You know, it's the most common cause for unexpected high water bills, leaking toilets. They waste thousands of gallons a day. So always encouraging. We have a billing department that goes through and looks for any unusual high usage. And then showers are obviously, they're fun and we like to relax with them, but we need to be mindful. And we have shower timers if anybody's interested in a 5-minute shower. I don't know if I'm up for the challenge yet, but we'll see what we can do.
Do you guys have data if baths take up more or less water than showers? Do you have any data on that? We have
On bats?
baths take more. Yeah, I would think so too, but we have a debate at our house. So. Since you're here, I thought I would ask.
That argument.
Are you right on in? Solid arguments there. That's great.
It's a person for me. It's a trade off of my house. So I don't turn the heat up. So I allow the baths to.
Oh, it works at my house too. If you're gonna make me cold, you better let me take a bath.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
All right. Thank you guys very much for the update presentation. Appreciate it. Okay, people are having, just as a general note, we've gotten some feedback. It's hard to hear. So we need to make sure. Do you want to repeat that in the mic?
Yeah.
Just. All right. With that, we're going to move into public participation in consent agenda. This portion of our meeting is set aside for City Council to listen to comments from the public about items that appear on the consent agenda or items that are not included in tonight's public hearing and action items section of the agenda. Consent agenda items are for those which all conditions or requirements have already been met, and they're typically approved with a single motion without separate discussion. To help maintain a welcoming, respectful, and productive environment, we ask that there be no clapping, cheering, jeering, or sorry, get ahead of myself, no clapping, cheering, booing, jeering, or sign holding. This helps ensure that everyone, regardless of their viewpoint, feels comfortable sharing their thoughts. Each speaker will have 3 minutes, and we ask that you state your full name and whether or not you reside within the Fruita city limits. If you have materials you'd like to share with council, please provide them to our city clerk, Deb Woods, so that they can be entered in the public record and distributed appropriately. While council will not respond during this portion of the meeting, please know that we are listening and we appreciate you taking the time to participate in this important process. So with that, I'd like to open it up for any public comments. Anybody like to come up and speak?
I'm not going to know what to do, not giving you my address now. Here, I promise. So tonight I want to talk to you about ordinance 2026-03, which amends the Title 17 regarding non-functional turf. Sorry. After reviewing the ordinance, I am seeking clarification on how the amendment will be applied in practice, particularly with how it relates to existing turf. So how does the amendment apply to existing non-functional turf? Because will it be treated as legally non-conformity and allowed to remain, or will it be slowly like removed over time? Because it doesn't state anything in the actual amendment. So this is why I'm here. The ordinance clearly prohibits the installation of new non-functional turf, but it does not appear to specify what happens to the existing lawns. For example, if a lawn dies, can a homeowner reseed or resod? If bugs or a swimming pool kill your lawn, are you allowed to replace it? If you have to replace, like if your yard has to get dug up, like what percentage of your yard has to get dug up to constitute it not being replaceable? Because it doesn't state in the ordinance. Greater clarification in this area could help support consistent enforcement, reduce confusion for homeowners, and ease the administrative burden on staff responsibility. I also want you to consider when implementing this, how it's going to impact staff downstairs, because will 2 different staff members be able to enforce the rule consistently when they look at it if it doesn't specify what the rules are? And how is this going to be explained to the general public? Like, is this meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting going to be public enforcement of, like, this is the new ordinance, is this how it's being enforced? Like the new change, and this is how the people are being informed that it's changing? Or is there going to be like, we're sending it out in Shannon's amazing letter that he sends out? I don't remember what it's called. Anyways, thank you. That's like
Thanks,
Thank
Tessa.
you.
Thank you, Tess. All right. Would anybody else like to come up and speak on anything that's on tonight's agenda or on the consent? Sorry, on items not on the agenda or that are on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to council.
Just for clarification, real quick on item H, ordinance 2026-03, this is a first reading. This will be a public hearing on March 17th, correct? Where we can chat more about all sorts of questions that anyone may have about that.
Yeah, and we can make sure we address some of those comments brought up during public comment and other comments we've heard kind of throughout this process, as well as we shared kind of with council at our last meeting. So we'll touch upon all that when it goes up for public hearing for adoption.
Any other questions? All right, with that, I would need a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
First and second, last chance. Any questions or comments? All right, Deb?
Counselor Hansi,
Yes.
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller,
Yes.
and Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you very much. We have. Yes. You guys are brutal.
Gee, we're past it.
All right,
I was with you, Janine, clearly.
yes. So thank you for not letting me go astray. We had 4 people that are either new to a boards or commission or being reappointed. We have Terry for the Livability Commission. Joel, our former mayor, is for Fruita Tourism and Advisory Council. He's going on that. Lisa Connors is coming back to the Board of Adjustments. And Tessa is going to be new to the Board of Adjustments. And as a side note to that, the Board of Adjustments, we think is going to have the first meeting since 2017. We're not really sure when the last meeting is, so there'll be a meeting hopefully in March. But as always, thank you for everybody that comes up, stands up and volunteers for our boards and commissions. You are help really what makes Fruita, and appreciate your time. We all appreciate your time and dedication to the city. So thank you very much. How can I flip the page?
Well done.
Wow. All right, public hearing and action items. We have one. We have a financial update, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I'm Christy Yamashita, Finance Director, and I'm here to present the December Sales and Use Tax Report. Each month, as you're aware, we usually put the finance reports in front of council on the consent agenda. But twice a year, we like to check in with council, usually in June when we're presenting our financial statements from the auditor, as well as whenever we have the December financials to wrap up the entire year. So overall, we're sitting in a good position. Revenues in total in the general fund were up slightly at 15 million collected compared to the 13.3 million budgeted. A breakdown of the major taxes collected are city sales tax. In December, revenues were up 18% compared to December 2024. Overall, sales tax collections of 4 million exceeded the budgeted 3.7 million by 9%. Use tax on motor vehicle, the December revenues were down 15% compared to December 2024, but the overall use tax collection of 824,000 exceeded the budgeted amount of 750,000, ending up at a 4% increase over 2024 numbers. Use tax on building materials, December revenues were up 217% compared to December of 2024. The overall use tax collections on building materials of 690,000 exceeded the budgeted amount of 300,000, and that left us ending at an increase of 152% over the 2024 numbers. As far as lodging tax goes, December revenues were down 9% compared to December of 24. The overall lodging tax collection ended up 2% down from the prior year, but the actual revenue collected of 198,000 exceeded the budgeted amount of 180,000. For the county sales tax, December revenues were up 4% compared to December, and the overall tax revenue of 3.6 million exceeded the budgeted amount of 3.4 million and ended with an increase of 4% over 2024 numbers. And last, for public safety tax, December revenues were up 3% compared to December, and the overall tax revenue of 537,000 exceeded the budgeted amount of 510,000, ending up at an increase of 4% over 2024. Are there any questions?
No, I think you're good.
No, I'm glad to see that we saw some red early on, and it's nice that we have been able to overcome come that, the lodging tax was down $3,000. So that's not such a huge deal, especially where we were over budget anyway. But it's nice to see that we're still going strong.
Yes, we are.
And that increase in oil and gas is obviously due to the new gas station, correct?
Exactly.
It's like, wow, that's nice.
All right. Anybody else?
What are you attributing the tax on the building materials to? I know there for a while we were seeing a lot of re-roofing, but I would have thought that by now.
I think it's still a continuation from the roofing. We've kind of seen consistently that use tax. It's just, we've had the roofing, like even our permit numbers, they've been continually higher from the point of that hailstorm throughout the year. And so it's just the number of roofs that people have had to have work done on has continually gone from that, I think it was either June or July, all the way through until December. With the warmer weather, they've still been able to get out and get onto the roofs and do the work.
Yeah, they were knocking on our doors this weekend.
Right. Yeah.
Still.
Went in and yeah, it's
So I continually screw this up. So I'm just going to apologize. Did not ask for public comment. So shame on me. I either ask for public comment when we shouldn't, or I don't. So I apologize. But with that, I'd like to open up the financial report to public comment. All right, with that, I'm going to close public comment and now bring it back to council. Not quite done, so I apologize. All right. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Krista.
All right.
Mr.
Now we
Mayor,
move to our administrative agenda, which does not have public comment.
Mr. Mayor,
What? Ah,
we need a motion to
That's for you.
approve the financial report.
I've only been doing this for like 1 3/4 now.
you're
All
doing
right.
I would like to move to approve the December 25 financial.
second.
All right. Thank you and thank you. Any additional questions or comments from council? All right. Deb?
Counselor Purser,
Yes.
Counselor Quigley, Counselor Miller, Counselor Williams, Counselor Hansi.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Right. Thank you. And thank you, Deb.
Welcome.
All right. Next is administrative agenda. And unlike last week, I will not ask for public comment during this. But we have a presentation continuation of the launch Riverfront Development Update. And I guess Dan's not kicking off. Gavin Brook with Two Forks, are you kicking off? Or Dan, are you kicking it off?
Yes, I am.
This is why it's a team effort.
More help for this.
So we have a team here who's always willing to jump up and help. I don't know if it's me, but is this monitoring that's on the opposite side of this flickering?
Yeah.
Because earlier it looked like I could see it strobing in the glass.
It was on and off a couple times.
Yeah.
Other one?
Mhm.
You
That
get
did
in the
reflection.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
No flies tonight. No dive bombing.
True, hallelujah.
Okay. Shannon was shocked.
I know,
What?
I was there. It's so funny.
Do you not know about the flies?
You weren't obvious enough, I guess.
Well, that means we did a good job of being discreet. Like I was
Exactly.
impressed because
Yes, me
I
too.
thought we looked like idiots up here.
All right.
You have no idea. It just took 3 of us in Chat GPT to get it figured out. And now I've lost my notes, so just 1 second.
No worries for me.
I think I'm being punished for making a comment in the back that you should get a laminated copy of Robert's rules.
We don't actually follow Robert's rules. We follow Bob's rules.
Okay. Greetings, Mr. Mayor, council members. Thank you for having me again. I was supposed to be another 2 weeks out, but we got excited about moving the entitlements along and so accelerated the next meeting. So this is my follow-up meeting to the short presentation I gave you on February 3rd. Please ask questions at any time during the presentation. Don't hesitate. Tonight, I am here to propose a change in the entitlement process that is currently contemplated in the development agreement for the launch property. And that change is around the entitlements. So this is the current launch property. It has been platted, subdivided, and transferred. Lot 1 is approximately 20.3 acres and is owned by 879 Raptor Road LLC. It's the one that we commonly talk about as the private development parcel. And then Lot 2 at 24.1 acres is owned by the city of Fruita. The distinction there, just because we haven't had a chance to observe it here in presentation, is that it turned out that the property, we did not know this when we first started negotiating, but the property goes to the center line of the Colorado River. And so that seemed most appropriate to go to the city. So originally we had contemplated a 50-50 split. I don't need to own anything at the bottom of the Colorado River, so somebody did. So 24.1 acres ended up going to the city. The future development of both of the parcels is defined under the commitments of the launch development agreement. So we're here to talk about how we handle entitlements. So I thought we would just do a quick look at future land use. This is directly from the comprehensive plan. It identifies the property itself under the innovation and flexibility zone, as well as the property between 6 and 50 and I-70 on the other side of I-70. The property directly adjacent the state park is identified as community, and the existing areas that are zoned C2 are identified as C2 in the future land use. The purpose of the innovation and flexibility zone is for live work, light manufacturing, and retail and innovative multifamily uses. It is the future land use that is designated for what I would call the maximum number of interesting development opportunities. The adjacent zones are pretty settled. I don't think that we'll see much change in those. Moving to the next slide, we're talking about the current zoning that actually resides here. So the entire property is currently zoned as community services recreational, which has some public uses, but no private uses allowed in that zone district. The adjacent zone district, of course, is C2. That's everything else that's down Raptor Road, other than the state park. And across I-70 is currently zoned industrial. What we are really interested in talking about and talking to the council about is changing the strategy that's defined in the development agreement to go for a base zoning or an underlying zoning now and a full PUD in the future. So the current development agreement contemplates that we would go straight to a full PUD, and we would attempt to define all of the land uses that would fit inside that PUD in one fell swoop in a sort of classic master planning approach, if you would. What we are proposing now, for a number of reasons, is that we would go for an underlying zoning that is different than CSR. There would be some limitations on that underlying zoning, and then we would go for a PUD in the future. The public parcel will also need some zoning in order to be put to use for a number of the things that have been contemplated, gatherings, food truck courts, various things. There's no by right uses that totally satisfy the full range of what's been discussed. So I'll let Dan address that a little more in detail, but the concept is that there would be two separate zoning applications. There would be a general rezoning application for the private parcel and a conditional use zoning application for the public parcel. And those would probably proceed in separate but parallel paths. Getting zoning for both of those parcels creates some security both for the public and private entities because it provides certainty. It also provides actual value to that land from my point of view in terms of being able to capitalize on it. There's limited capitalization of the value of the land. It facilitates accelerating the property use. So the idea that we might develop parcel 1 early on and move quickly into the park planning phases is facilitated by that. So this is what roughly speaking, this is what the zoning areas would look like, the application areas. Lot 1 would go for a single underlying zone district, and Lot 2 would go for conditional uses under portion of that parcel. I think this is yet to be defined with the planning department and the city. Access to the other side of the Little Salt Wash is pretty limited, and so whether we would do any additional conditional use zoning to that area is in question.
Is the split between lot 1 and 2 based off of I'm going to use the wrong terminology, but like the ecological or the landscape of that property? That's natural, more natural barriers per se,
It's fundamentally the floodplain. So there is a portion of lot 2 that will end up outside the floodplain in order to accommodate restrooms. And there is a future letter of map revision or revision to the shape of the floodplain that may adjust that. But fundamentally right now it traces the edge of the floodplain and has become a platted property.
Thank
you. So as I said, lot 1, general rezoning application. Lot 2 would likely be a conditional use permit applicable to the CSR zone district. So the direct request for you tonight, and I think the conversation that we have, is to approve changing the entitlement process contemplated in the development agreement from a 1-step entitlement process to a 2-step entitlement process. James, I think this, Councilor Williams, I think this addresses your original question to me of define what we have now and what we would have in the future, or intended this to. So the original process is a single-step only PUD, and it allows for parallel approvals, but not prior or sequential approval. And then the proposed process is a 2-step entitlement process, so it would allow for a general rezoning application, and then the PUD would be obligated to follow. With that, this is what the process would look like if this was acceptable to the council. I did pre-app with the staff last week to make sure that there was no fault in my thinking. We are prepared to file a general rezoning application as soon as this week. We would be trying to schedule for the first P&Z hearing in March. Presuming that we could get approval in a single hearing, we would go to City Council hearing in early April and the second reading to follow that. So we're ready to move quickly on this application. And that's it. I will flip back to any slides that you have questions about, and happy to field questions or have Dan jump up and talk about the city side of it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. Dan Karras, Assistant City Manager. I think whenever we deviate from a previously agreed upon agreement on how to agree in the future, usually ask yourself the question, like, what risks do we have? Where it's why are we doing this? And I think that from our perspective, as we've planned through this process, both Shannon and I and Gavin, and then also met with Henry and his team in the planning department, what became abundantly clear is that like there's going to be a lot of evolutionary change with this project, and a base level framework of a zone district that is compatible with its surrounding land uses was a great way of taking that first step. Our protections to implement the innovation and flex future land use is protected by likely a regulatory covenant that will be recorded against the property that will spell out some of those uses that would be disallowed that don't implement that future land use. That is the document where we will protect the interests of that development agreement and how it can kind of fly separately from the zoning application. Why that makes sense to the staff is that, it is like kind of the mini development agreement that sort of governs how each entity behaves before the PUD gets placed on the property. It's really the most appropriate way of handling that. And then also how we benefit, which is my favorite part, is that whatever we do to increase the value of the property, we realize the upside just as well as the private entity does. And so I think that the motivation is that we're still aligned, which is why the council thought that it was wise for us to enter into that development agreement, and those same sort of playground of sort of paralleled path and united front still exists with this approach, and I think can certainly serve as an intermediary step to realize the overall effort that was in the development agreement.
Anything else we're going to add, Gavin?
No. Do a slide that would. Give the vision.
I'd like to bring it back to council. Any questions? I have, of course, from a timing standpoint, you talked about early April. Are we talking about the first meeting in April or the second meeting in April? Because that has some ramifications.
The election.
It depends on how quickly staff. I mean, this is a normal public
Right.
process. So
But if everything goes to plan, you're thinking it would be the first meeting in April? Okay.
The first reading.
Yeah,
Second reading.
Second reading.
I know, but timing wise, it's not on.
Be new council no matter
Yeah,
what.
new council.
Yeah, there'll be,
That's what I'm saying.
there at some point.
Yeah,
it's
the
gonna-
first reading is not gonna get like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be the second reading, but so it'll be different.
7th and 21st.
It will be something different up here.
Our Tuesday meetings are 7th and 21st.
Yeah, it'll be the 20.
Correct.
Yep.
If it goes according to plan, this would happen, first reading would happen on the 7th. Second reading would be 30 days later. So just trying to figure out from a timing standpoint.
Yeah.
So by changing this process, when we originally started this process, we had the foundation documents, kind of our guiding principles. And part of that was the flexibility and the evolution of this property over the next decade as markets change, needs change. And quite frankly, as we see how this develops and how it may impact like downtown and others, what adjustments. By doing it, it seems to me like doing it this way actually protects that flexibility. Does it matter? Right now, you own this, but as these parcels get sold, broken apart and sold, does that still protect that flexibility?
To be transparent about it, I think the general zone district has more flexibility than the PUD is like. And so I think that the point of the restrictive covenant that we've been talking about is to take some of that flexibility back out, put a little bit more of the city council's fingerprint on the future, right? So I think it provides more flexibility for the first two steps.
Right.
And then allows us to guide that final vision
Okay.
in a way that we don't sort of pre-master plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
I like,
entire-
yes, I like that it's in smaller bites.
Mhm.
Consider the entire master plan.
Yeah. Right.
But it still allows future councils
Yes.
to make sure it's still adhered.
Yeah.
Right.
And in fact, puts it in that
Yeah.
framework where each future council has it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. Yeah. Cater to the needs of each population as
Exactly.
Yep.
it evolves.
Anybody else?
So we have this original document that's been finalized. With changing that, what opportunity are we going to have to approve this change within those documents? How are we going to do that officially, as we then move to proceed into the normal zoning?
So I think the quick answer to that is that when we spoke about process, it made the most sense to rely on our land use process to handle the zoning. But we didn't want to get out over our skis and amend the development agreement to essentially codify something that hasn't happened yet. And so what you'll see is if approved, the second reading of an ordinance amending the official zoning map to C2, a regulatory covenant placed on the property, and then an amendment to the development agreement. Just so it's all in the correct order of operations, and whatever evolves throughout the course of that process can live in that document. And we certainly can try and have that prepared and ready for prime time upon second reading. And if there's any other points in which we need to have some Q&A about the development agreement and the regulatory covenant, I think it needs to just live as far away from the zoning application as possible.
I don't know, with the back to the mayor's point of timing, just depending on how things go and how the election goes, we may or may not need a good solid review of the entire process for new council members, and just so that they can be comfortable as we go through the process. I think it'd be very effective to take a pause and just have a good deep dive. And of course, it's good to have it myself.
Seems like an appropriate step.
Yeah.
With the new council.
Because it's been a while since we talked the original.
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm, 100%.
And it's also as it ties in, as we start talking more about economic development and all of that, I think all this kind of dovetails in. I think it will need to be part of that conversation.
And truth be told, I think the other thing to keep in mind is we're likely going to be shifting property lines as we do map revisions to the floodplain. So those are going to move around. And if we have these exhibits that live in the record, whether it's the zoning or the minor subdivision or the development agreement or the regulatory covenant, I think that as many times as we can get that out on the record and in front of the public and council, the more validity, like the financing of the public improvements is going to be ultimately. And like Gavin said before, we basically just followed that floodplain line. But as we fill, certain portions of the site, that will change. And if those become public because we need restrooms, or if it becomes private because another portion is going to be extended to build some other feature or amenity, I think that we want this process not just to live in the planning department, engineering department, but out in public as much as possible. Second thing I promise, and last, the reason why we've accelerated the speed of this is that we're eager to start the public process, of planning the site. And part of that, thanks to folks like Steve Martinez and those in engineering, we're about ready to have power out there for events. And, in order, this is sort of ridiculous coming from me, in order to allow those things to take place out there, we need to actually have some of those temporary uses be allowed. Which is a little embarrassing considering what I did for the last 12 years. We need to make sure that we follow all of those processes and dot our I's and cross our T's.
When you talk about these fluid property lines because of how things get developed, is the intent, because the intent of the agreement is that the property in essence was split 50, is to be split 50-50, and we're heavy-handed right now because of per se of the Colorado, like you're saying, but you're saying as we go through it, evaluating how things come and go is just how we want to develop, trying to per se stay to that idea of 50-50. That really, is that what you're talking about, Dan?
Yes. And I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I just think that just preparing the council for what is undoubtedly going to be the first replat, second replat, third replat. It's not because we didn't get it right. It's just that as we built the streets and pulled the river back and we figured different amenities to go in certain areas, and there was, really the true implementation of that development agreement, when that starts to take over as how we behave independent of zoning, you'll see that, take shape over time. It's not that we were going to draw those property lines and never move them. Could be incredibly successful, and we might have to put new ADA restroom facilities in a portion of the site that's in the floodplain. You can't do that. And so it's the whole point of this is that we really don't know what the future has in store for us. And so I think my job is to protect us against any blind spots that we could encounter that doesn't realize that vision of the council's guiding principles and Two Forks, but also, make this site developable, which is a challenge, just considering its history.
What are the ramifications of us now owning halfway out into the Colorado River? Are there liabilities that involved mineral rights, water rights?
Standard if you have a property that is adjacent to the river, that's where it is, where that line is. I
understand what it means in Florida. I have no idea what that means here.
We could get a better answer for that and confer with Mary Elizabeth. But my understanding is that irrespective of property lines, there still is a prescriptive right. And so that doesn't put us in a position to be any more regulatory than we otherwise would with land use or facilities. Still the core.
If it gets hurt in our section of the river, do we now pick up that liability?
Let us talk to Mary Elizabeth about that and get an accurate answer to you. My knee jerk is that we're still as protected as we were otherwise. It's just merely the fact that this was the way that the property was conveyed over time. And honestly, we needed to own out to the river because that's where we were discharging.
We've had that ownership into the middle of the river forever anyway. Right? That does not change.
Yeah, but it's going to be used a lot more.
The use of it,
But I used to say that. I just don't know, because this was a conglomeration when we put this together of different owners.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how that was beforehand, but now it's clearly
That's
in our.
something that would be good to have an answer for, just so we can go forward and have it in our.
Once again, I know in Florida, something nuisance laws, I can't remember but if we create this and somebody's like, oh, I can go out there, they get hurt because we didn't seal it off or do something like that, are we now at an additional liability? So does that mean we have to put in extra protections? I just don't understand our exposure.
That's a very valid point. And yeah, if we can get that answered from Mary.
Totally a fair question.
For me, this is personally a struggle because I like to have everything ironed out and planned before anything happens, but part of our plan is to keep it flexible. Those to me are very conflicting.
I like to move forward here. I think this is working in exactly the spirit of exactly what we meant to do.
I agree with
And
you.
this is, we expected this really, if it really going
It's
into it.
becoming real.
Yeah.
More now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously taken a lot of time and a lot of council leadership to get us to the place right now. I think that, we've tried to believe in this project multiple times. And this is the time where I think we actually have some wind at our back and that it's starting to take shape. And we were joking with at the pre-application meeting that we're going to implement the innovation in flex zone by recording an regulatory covenant.
Yeah.
We appreciate the irony in that. Make sure to stress that fact when we're before you next.
Good job, guys. Fantastic.
Great,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you. Mhm.
All right. With that, we're going to go ahead and move to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just a few very quick items for the city manager's report. A few of us got the opportunity to tour the South Mesa Street project this afternoon. We are going to schedule another tour. I know that that noontime maybe wasn't the easiest to meet in an effort to try to tour it while they were working. We actually ended up going there while they were on their lunch break, so I didn't see a ton of action going on, but it has come along really well. A lot of the sidewalks, especially on the south side, McCune South, and even the parallel spots are already in. So it looks really good. But I think even with another couple weeks that goes by and we schedule another tour, it'll continue to improve and progress in that project. So we'll schedule another one probably in the next few weeks and make sure that it's a little bit later in the day as well. And as we get more daytime hours, that will be beneficial too. For our workshop next week, we have a few items, but the bulk of the time is going to be spent. Just want to give council a heads up that we are ready to present on the silo concepts. We have a few unique things that our communications marketing department is excited to share. They'll actually be the ones presenting on that. So that'll be for next Tuesday. And then also our planning and development partner or department will be presenting on our ADU program. We have some rulemaking getting close to finish and ready to roll out that program. So we're trying to educate as much as we can, and even for people, whether it's lenders or real estate agents, trying to get them aware of the program, or even property owners. So try to get those dollars out. So hopefully we can ask for more and get some of those ADUs built and used for long-term rentals throughout Fruita. And then finally, our economic development workshop is scheduled for Friday, March 6th. I did set a calendar block in everyone's calendar for that. It is a lengthy one. I actually don't know if it will be that long, but we're going to finalize and go over the agenda with our consultant early next week, and we'll probably do a quick review of that at our workshop as well. Location to be determined, but we'll probably have all those final details wrapped up next week. So that's all I have for city manager report. Thank you.
Thank you. That bring it back to council for council reports and action items. Anybody want to volunteer to go first?
Sure.
Please.
We had another arts and culture board meeting last week, went great. Planning for Cocovino, fantastic. We actually talked about other things too, but mainly Cocovino's right now. And as you all know, that's March 7th, Saturday, March 7th. So see whoever's there. And then I wanted to ask about at City Market, this was brought up via social media, but it's a very good point, I think. At City Market on, is it
East side.
Yeah, the east side of the parking lot, the cars, I do this too. Like you just can't see where the sidewalk is, and people are pulling up over the sidewalk. And then when people with wheelchairs or any sort of access that you're trying to use safely without being in the road, you cannot use the sidewalk there. I don't know if we have any jurisdiction over that. That's the question. And if we do, what can we do about it?
Henry's our planning director is gonna come on up.
Tell he's very reluctant.
Never mind.
Steve's coming up.
Steve,
The way that is right there is the sidewalk's like equal.
Yeah.
There's no raise.
there's no curb. So there's no curb.
I've seen people just drive off. They do it all the time. They don't even back up, they just drive right off.
You just can't tell how far out you are. It's not even intentional.
Steve.
What's up, buddy?
So
That's quite a beard.
See.
I'm a little jealous. It looks
Been
good.
working on it for a few months,
Yeah, nice
a
work.
couple days. Yeah, hi, Steve Martinez, Special Project Manager. Thanks for inviting me up to address this real fast. I have had this come up before. It's a conversation that, obviously it is something that we could probably look into. We do have jurisdiction over the right of way and I believe that goes beyond the back of the walk. So something that we can definitely look into. I'll get with Henry and we'll see. What we can
Is it kind of like a sign thing or something, Steve? Like, can we just pick up some signs or something?
maybe
Or-
some bollards. I mean, we've tossed around a few ideas on how we.
Sure.
I think
people
this
doing that.
stop would be the easy.
Like tires.
There's nothing. Like James said, people actually
do
drive
drive off.
off
Yeah.
and onto the street from it because there's nothing keeping
No,
you
I've-
from.
So, there's those rubber tire stops that we have in some of the parking lots that,
Maybe
they
that
have,
might be it.
That'd be easy to install. We can look into.
I think we definitely, I mean, this is my own, and if everyone else is in agreement, but like, I think it's very worth doing. So it's not okay for people to not be able to safely use that sidewalk.
I think we'd probably all be in agreement that we'd be down for you guys to look at some
Solutions.
solutions for it and bring it to
This is
us.
private property, right?
No,
But
not,
the right of way is ours.
The right away
Sidewalk's not, but the parking lot is.
private.
So
Yeah,
we definitely need to be working with we will be working with the
absolutely.
property
Yeah,
owners to
yeah.
see what.
We're looking for some ideas and some
Yeah, like
solutions.
try to identify exactly where the right of way ends behind the sidewalk. I'm not positive where it is, but yeah, we might have space to do something. But like I said, I'll get with Henry and we'll discuss some options and get it figured out.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Really appreciate it. And then today I had a phone call about Reed Park, and I know we're always continually trying to work on community and how all the generations at that park are interacting and how that goes and how the skate park works for all ages or doesn't work for all ages. And it sounded like yesterday, since it was a holiday, there were lots of very little kids and also very, teenagers to early adults all trying to use the skate park at one time. And a kiddo got hurt, as might happen. I mean, not dangerously hurt, but just like bumped into. And then some moms got real up in arms about it. And then the teenagers or young adults responded back, and it got a little feisty around there. And so just curious. I mean, I know, like, we've already been talking about like how to continually not heavily monitor it, but just keep tabs on what's going on there. But I'm just wondering how we can foster some more communication about how we interact with one another. And maybe there is a certain, an example that this person brought up is like at the bike park, there is a certain area that is designated for littles, like that you wouldn't, I've not been to the bike park, I'm not a bike rider, but that you can, right, where it's lower age. And I know we can't rebuild a skate park for little people, younger people to use necessarily, but wondering if there's a time frame. Oh, between these hours, morning hours, where maybe kids, preschoolers are out there, whatever, just random ideas of how we maybe could encourage a block of time that would be safe for younger people to use that and then the more traditional use could just be in the other times. I don't know. That was a suggestion brought to me today. Main point, just letting you know that kind of took place, and whatever brainstorming we can do to continually foster community feelings and good spirits towards one another is great. So if anybody has any, I don't have a solution. I'm just bringing it to the table. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Aaron?
Few things. One is the tour on South Mesa was really nice. It was good to see the progress. It's really pretty. They've done a really good job at designing and laying out, so it looks like just a continuation of Aspen. Like they were gonna have one corner's gonna have some of that brick corner, so sitting areas. Lots of light is gonna go along the road, which is great because we do not have a lot of street lights. Just one thing that was brought up is I think we're getting close to construction to where the old bank building have some really strong restrictions of use due to construction because the sidewalk, they have to go to the building with things that are coming up. So it'll be, I know they're in good hands, but I think it will be a challenge.
Is that where the cookie shop is?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And they said that it would be up by Mike Death's Chicken Festival, right?
You said it'll be done by then?
Or the vast majority of it. There might be some little things here and there after, but it'll be open, fully functioning. I think most people will see that it's 100% or near 100% done by then. So it's gonna be great. It looks really good.
The transition it's tough.
Yeah. Let's see. Just one thing I had mentioned to Shannon, I just want to let you guys know, I asked him to look at the costs of just doing a good Band-Aid or a little paint job on the windows on the south side of this building. The sun hits this building, and I've just been, since I work in the F-Works suite, I've just noticed that it looks shabby. It's not very presentable. So he's going to look at some costs and some options if we can do a quick and dirty facelift, because a lot of it's peeling and it just looks bad. I know it will never be perfect, but I don't think that's what we were going for. Just a little more
A downspout repair.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
West side.
Yeah.
It's flapping in the wind. Only staying up there because there's a downspout on the west side, and the only thing they're holding it up is anti-ice freeze cord going through the whole thing as it's swaying. I have a picture if you want to see
2
it.
days will be interesting with all the wind.
Yeah. I know I really love that Ute Water presentation, and I would love to have a deeper dive. And I'm grateful that we have Mary Elizabeth, part of staff, that we can maybe just take advantage of her wisdom and knowledge outside of what we normally use her, because I think it'd be interesting. Like I wanted to ask more about Shoshone, and the different river rights, just understand the whole picture of water, because I don't think most people understand how important our water rights are. And, especially where it feels like sometimes the Front Range is trying to grab as much as they can. Like if you take the Amtrak train, you'll get some updates, and like Denver, for example, has reservoirs up in the mountains. And it's like, oh, and I think Evergreen Lake is Denver water, and it's like, but Denver's not around here at all. So it'd just be interesting. I think it'd be fun
It's
to
like
have.
a water 101.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to understand just more generally of what's going on. I want more deeper dive into Shoshone. I think that's
Be a good workshop.
Well, also on that, it would be interesting, and I don't know what the part of it is, but the irrigation stuff seems like it's a really important part of it too. And it'd be nice if we could get some kind of an update from them, or whoever understands that to some degree. Yeah. If they're seeing more, what their kind of numbers and stuff that would be really interesting.
I attended a really awesome presentation by Scott McGinnis, who is like was battling really hard for these Shoshone. His presentation was amazing, like how he broke it down and made it it's so, water rights are really like convoluted, I guess it's a good, really tricky stuff to understand. And he had like this image that showed like where all of our water goes and big pots and small pots and like how I wish everybody could hear that. So like I mean, I'm sure Mary Elizabeth could give a good one too, but he had it down to like a, half hour, because I'm sure he does it over and over and over again. But it might be a cool work.
Have a guest speaker.
Yeah, like a
right.
presentation.
And it'd be nice if we can glean whatever, like update our website on any, I don't know what's there for water, but if it maybe that's something that we.
Even that drip infographic was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the drip. Yep. Okay.
Um,
Thanks. Shannon and I are nodding back and forth like, yep,
I think that's all I have.
all right. James.
I don't have anything today.
I'd just
Yeah.
like to echo that seeing the Ute Water piece of it is a really good start, but we really probably need to have somebody from Grand Valley irrigation come in and talk about that, because when they run out of resources, then people are really going to start tapping into Ute. So I think it would be
Right? Doesn't it almost seem like what they're dealing with, it almost affects us almost more at this
the
point?
potential.
To a
Because of
certain
how much
degree.
water it
Yeah.
It is the
And I don't know how fast we could get them in here, but it would be kind of nice if it was while we got this fresh after them.
Well, I mean, to that point, it's also how can we support, I know it's not directly theirs, but the drip and getting that messaging out. I know every year we put the calendar out, but maybe it's more, and I say this because it could be more than once already, but once again, at least, get it out there multiple times to reinforce.
Well, and again, not to keep harping on this, but it also, if we get to hear from the irrigation, it would give us that information when we're having those conversations with the public on the reason that we are pushing the drip so much, if that's what we're doing or whatever we're doing. But we've heard from them that this is where we're at on how irrigation is looking for Fruita for the next year or two or whatever. So those steps would be great.
irrigation with a lot more flexibility on the Encanto line than you do in some of the subdivisions, because when you're looking at, you have 183 plus units and you only have a finite amount of, everybody can follow the drip, unfortunately. So
That's true.
best practices for, okay, this is kind of the stuff that you're stuck with. Let's make it as good as we can. Let's make the best of it.
All right, I'm seeing Shannon nodding head in terms of yes, getting it on a workshop so we can start to work through this.
I don't have.
Nothing else? All right. Amy?
I too enjoyed the tour and having lunch today. It was great to see the Johns, see and hear from the Johns. Really, we're just in such good hands. It always reassures me when I, hear presentations or, things like this. These guys they're on it, and just hearing like some of the hurdles that they, encountered, and we're still in a really good position. So, it was really good.
Things like they brought electrical down to a corner and then they've had conduit in other areas just in case. And I think that's great that we're thinking outside of the box and not just building, because it's much cheaper to put conduit now than later. And so they're really being proactive at every stage. It's not just all right, here's day one, go to day 100 and we're done. It's reevaluating along the way to make sure things go well.
That's all I
I can tell you, anytime you start digging up earth and what you find underneath is always a surprise.
Well, the budget is full, or they expect it to be full. Like we've gone into our contingency. We've had to spend $100,000 on removing
contaminated soils.
Soil.
Yeah.
Because we just happened to find it.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. It's like a home remodel.
Yep. Careful opening up walls. That's all I've got.
For those putting on my chamber hat, those of us that are up for reelection or those of us that are running, you should have received an email from the questionnaire from the chamber. I did ask if they're looking for like 2-sentence answers or 10 paragraph answers.
They're serious questions.
Yeah, I was gonna say, some of them might be tricky to
Yes. So the
concisely.
response I got, hold on. So I want to make sure everybody hears the same thing. If I could. All right. No, it's looking, hopefully I've got my phone, otherwise I can't leave. That they will do a synopsis and then direct to our full answers. And there's no word limit on that. Go to town.
Yeah.
I'll greatly enjoy that.
Since you're running unopposed.
You know, there's no sense in, was it Mark Twain? Sorry for the long email. Sorry for the long letter. I didn't have time to write a short one. Definitely applies.
That's good. That's good.
And then once again, decided Board of Adjustments, his first meeting is going to be third week, I think, in March. Henry, I know you're working on it, getting that out the door, working with Deb, so thank you very much.
What's the topic? Is it?
Well, I think the reason why, part of it is why. Like, why hasn't there been a meeting since 2017? Are we missing something, or are we doing something extraordinarily well? And if that's the case, should we, what might we need to adjust? I mean, it seems silly to me to have a committee that doesn't meet for like 8 years, 9 years at a time.
Well, you have to come back and tell us, but my understanding is that its main purpose is in case the city council gets appealed,
But it's also,
which has not happened, so.
but it can also, my understanding, and this is part of it, like making sure we have an understanding. The example that was given to me was that somebody was building a house, this is clearly years ago. The builder flipped the house on the lot. I don't know how that happens, but then the driveway was going to be next to a stop sign. And they came looking for an adjustment on that to have it. And the Board of Adjustments had to get involved and say, nope, you have to redo it so it's not next. So, but
Is that board a charter mandated one?
it is in section 16.3, going from memory. I only know it because I looked it up.
Yes,
That was so nerdy, dude. You guys just so nerded so hard right there.
really good. Good
I-
stuff.
that
I'm not sure, but I did look it up
way too
because
nerdy.
I had that exact same question.
Six.
It sounds like we're all.
What is it?
603.
Oh, you were so close.
Right.
It'd be fun to hear your report.
Yeah. So I'm excited. It's one of those things, if we're not using, like, it's worth looking at.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Okay. And that's all I got. And James, I'm not sure why you wanted the executive session.
But it's like hanging out. I don't want to go home ever.
It's an executive session.
It's like being here all the time.
All right. Well, I see you already packed your bags.
I'm ready.
All right. So we have no executive session tonight. Last chance, anything else? All right. With
Sand stuff.
that, the time is 8:45 and the meeting is adjourned.
Any score update?
We won. Well, boys won, girls did not. But it was super close.
I have something, a question.
Okay.
Let me see. Tell you.
Is this B-ball?
Yes.